Hey, I'm Jim Sinacropi. Welcome to another edition of the FL1 Sports Podcast on FingerLakes1.com, where we highlight local athletes, teams, and events from all levels and types of competitive sports throughout the Finger Lakes region. And a few weeks ago on this show, I stopped out at Falcon Park in Auburn and took a look at the upgrades ahead of the Doubledays opening day. And I also got to meet the new broadcast team for the 2019 season. And today, both Jack McMullen and Claudia Bellofatto are here in studio to talk about their experience so far covering the Ddays, their time at Syracuse University, and our plans for this podcast over the next couple of months. So, first of all, hi guys, welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Jim. Excited to be here.
It's a pleasure to be here, Jim.
Cool spot.
Now, a lot of people watching this podcast are probably familiar that Syracuse University is world-renowned for broadcasting, and you guys both just graduated within a month, 2 months.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to be a senior at
that's
Syracuse.
right.
Yeah, so I'm bridging the gap.
You're on track,
He's just
though.
ahead of the game.
Yeah,
That's
I like to think that I'm on track. We'll see what happens, right. But I still have one more semester to survive, so we'll go from there.
So, well, Jake, let's start with you then.
Sure.
Age before beauty, or younger, however you want to say it.
We'll go with that.
So I've got a face for radio, but we're simulcasting right now, so that's our problem.
So, where are you from, first of all?
Yeah, I'm from Oak Park, Illinois, which is just west of the city of Chicago.
Okay, which is a great sports area.
Yeah, it's awesome. And, I've been blessed enough to grow up with okay sports at times. Like, every team has had their window. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, for me personally, I've actually grown up with really good announcers that I've seen.
Sure.
And, I always kind of wanted to play, and baseball was my passion. But when I was a 17-year-old throwing, 70 miles an hour, it's not going to happen for me. And I won't
right.
play for the Doubledays, but instead I can broadcast. So I was fortunate enough to grow up around great TV and radio people doing those sports. So I knew that was like a really fun avenue for me.
So just to qualify things here, because I'm 47 years old, so when I think of Chicago sports, I remember Michael Jordan's Bulls. I mean, that was in my wheelhouse growing up.
Yep.
I remember the 86 Bears. But
With
that
Dick
was
Gunn.
Obviously before your time. Any memories of Michael Jordan? That was before your time?
No, I was born in 98. So that's when Jordan retired for the second time. And then he went to Washington for a little bit. But no,
yeah, the Wizards, that didn't work out.
No recollection of Jordan's Bulls.
So wow, 98, you don't even remember John Wallace.
No.
In 96,
Nope.
Which was the year I graduated from Syracuse.
Really?
Yeah, so, all right, well, making me feel
old.
old.
Sorry about that.
So, Claudia, where are you from?
I'm from Boston. I was going to say, he's making me feel old because I was born in 96, but still, it's so crazy to think. I'm from Mass. I always say Boston, but I guess I should say Massachusetts.
Exactly where?
But I am such a Boston fan. That's what my excuse,
Well, they have a term for Boston sports fans. Starts with Mass.
Massholes.
Massholes,
Am I allowed
yeah.
to say that on here?
And well, no, you are. They were not regulated by the FCC or anything. And I went to school with several of my best friends at Syracuse and roommates were from Boston or the Boston area. Newton, my roommate had a roommate from Newton, Mass, and it's true what they say about Boston sports fans, and I'll just leave it at that. But
obnoxious, that's one word to describe us.
Well, it's also a different era because when I was there with friends with these guys, that was coming off, it was within 5 or 6 years that the Red Sox blew that series in '86 to the Mets, and they hadn't won since 1913 or 1908 or whatever it was. Since then, the Red Sox have had some success. The Celtics, of course, are a storied franchise, and the Bruins as well. But boy, it was fun back then as a Yankee fan, being embedded at Syracuse with all these
the rivalry
Red Sox fans,
yeah,
for sure.
Keeps us going.
So when did you know that you wanted to get into broadcasting?
Honestly, I think I'm kind of an outlier when it comes to kids at Newhouse because I grew up playing sports. I played basketball, soccer, and lacrosse. And I watched, footballs like football Sundays or religion at my house. So that was the thing. But obviously I never played football. I started out cheerleading, and I think that's when I really kind of understood that I like sports. I like watching sports, but I like talking sports. So I'd be on the sideline. I get yelled at every 5 minutes. Like, Claudia, you're supposed to be at the bleachers cheering, not talking to the coaches and watching the football game. I'm like, okay, but I don't really care about the cheering part. So then, when I got to high school, I ended up being a football manager. Then I got to Syracuse, and I started off in recruiting, actually. Okay. I was doing mostly news, broadcasting, and when I was in the recruiting office, they said, we can't actually air if we do interviews with these kids because they're still in high school, the recruits coming in. So I would do mock interviews with them, and I think what I thought was the most interesting was how excited these kids would get. And I knew they were younger, too, 18, 17. But it was fun to kind of get that out of them and get the background story and not just the stats and the X's and O's. And so I didn't fully actually get into sports broadcasting until senior year. And I had 1 year to do it, but I did it, and I'm here now. And that's why, I was glad that I could meet Adam and the rest of the Doubledays and get this opportunity.
So when you decided that broadcasting was a career path when you were in high school, what drew you to Syracuse?
Honestly, I just applied to a bunch of communication schools. I didn't realize how good Newhouse was until I remember I was at my house and I got the letter or the email, whatever it was. I just texted my mom. I was like, hey, got into Newhouse, by the way. Got into the school at school. She's like, wait, you got into Newhouse? I was like, yeah. Okay, that's where you're going. Right. I said, what do you mean? She's like, that's the best school for communications in the country. So we went and we visited, and I hate the cold weather, but I'm from Boston, so I said I can deal with it. But I think when we were there, the dean kind of said, you guys are a special bunch. It was very hard to get in here, which I didn't realize until I was there. And obviously now graduated, it's a Newhouse Mafia. So I think I made the right choice.
Yeah, sure did. Now, Jack, from Chicago, there's another good broadcasting school in your neck of the woods in Northwestern. Was that ever something that you considered?
It was something I considered. It's not a school that I even applied to, if we're being honest. And I wanted to get away. Sure. I love my family. I love my friends from home, but I was ready to go away. And I didn't want to go to the Midwest because all my friends were in the Midwest, and they were going to. I had a lot of friends go to Northwestern, a lot of friends go to Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, all those schools. And I just kind of wanted to be an outlier. I'd say I was like a bit of a contrarian growing up, but, it wasn't necessarily that at all. I just kind of wanted to get away and explore something else. Like, if my life takes me out west, that'd be great because I can go from the Midwest to the East and then to the West, and I can have all my grounds covered. So that's kind of the reason why. And I also grew up around broadcasting, actually. I originally wanted to do like talk radio because my uncle does talk in the city of Chicago. So
in the radio?
Yep. So he does sports talk radio. He was, a midday guy for 10 years, I want to say. Wow. And now he's like the baseball guy at 670 The Score in Chicago. So.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So you have some genetics worked into the deal.
Yeah. With genetics, I don't know what it is, but that definitely drove me. So I kind of had an idea of the schools that were really good for this. And, there was always like a big five that people said. And it was Syracuse, Northwestern, USC, Georgia, and Missouri.
Oh, I didn't realize Georgia was so
good. The Grady School. But, I always kind of had an affinity towards Syracuse, and my uncle, I still have the voicemail saved on my phone. He called me after I said, I got in, and he left me a voicemail, and he said, Newhouse, and then an expletive, and then I didn't get in. So that was nice. That was a little...
Oh, he never got into that.
He didn't get
I
in.
didn't either.
Yeah.
I didn't either, yeah. I went to Syracuse and thought I'd transfer after my freshman year. They said I needed at least a 3.8, and I'm like, no problem. And then, I think I had a 2.6. So a lot of fun things to do at Syracuse besides
there are a lot
study.
of fun things, yeah.
But one thing that you didn't want to get away from, obviously, was the horrific winter weather. Because I don't know, what's worse, Chicago or Syracuse?
It's a mixed bag. Yeah. Chicago is a lot colder.
Because of the wind chill.
The wind chill's bad. Like, I'll get texts from my mom sometimes, and she'll say, -25 with the wind chill today. Happy Wednesday. And, Syracuse is, we sit around 10, 15 degrees in the winter, but there's just so much snow. And like a 10-minute walk turns into a 20-minute walk. So it's a blessing and a curse. Right. And I don't know if it's okay to call a Syracuse winter a blessing, but,
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Well, there's some parts of it that's kind of special. For instance, 2003 season, Syracuse was playing Pittsburgh on like a Wednesday night in January, and it was a literal blizzard, but they don't cancel the game. 32,000 fans in the dome, 2 feet of snow outside. You know, it was just, of course, that was back when we were still in the Big East.
And Mello was there.
Oh, yeah, that was the year. And I mean, I was at that game, and you felt they were a special team, but you didn't know that they would win it all. I mean, as a Syracuse fan, since I went to a game in Manley Fieldhouse. My first 2 Syracuse games were in Manley Fieldhouse. My father and uncle also went to Syracuse. So they took me up to a game at Manley Fieldhouse, a couple games. And then the dome opened, and I remember walking in there, and it was, like, unbelievable. But it's tremendous disappointments. Freshman year in high school, bawling my eyes out after Syracuse lost to Indiana. Derek Coleman just needed to make 2 free throws. And then 96, John, you know, I thought, too, going to Syracuse, well, they were so dominant in that late 80s that I thought they're going to win one while I'm there. But they went on probation when I was there. So I was there with, like, Lawrence Moulton, 1 whole year on probation. And then 96, John Wallace, the refs kind of took him out of that championship game against Kentucky. And so after that, I just about given up, you know, and Syracuse ever winning it all. And then 2003, what a beautiful year that was.
How about that?
And then I thought, well, now we're going to probably win 4 of the next 5. But that also didn't work out. But, But another thing about Syracuse is when I was there, the football team was much better than the basketball team. Or maybe not much better. It's kind of like
a tug of war now. People are saying, are we going to be a football school? I mean, we have some good recruits, though, for basketball.
We're a football school this year, which is it's cool. It's fun to say.
It's exciting.
Syracuse is unique, and they had been for about the past 25 years up until the Greg Robinson era, until Coach Pasqualoni left. Syracuse was ranked in both sports every year.
Yep.
And that was kind of rare. There weren't too many other schools that were like that. But then, you know, the history of the football program is amazing, and it's been pretty depressing to see what the state of the program. But now Dino Babers has us back. And I have a fun Dino Babers story to share with you, too, and then we'll get back. There's a golf tournament here in Seneca Falls called the Orange Pack Tournament every year. And so I'm the president at Seneca Falls Country Club, and this first year I didn't play in the tournament 3 years ago when Dino Babers before he ever coached a game, he was there at that golf tournament, and I introduced myself to him. Coach Babers, thanks for coming. We really appreciate it. And it was a literally 3-minute conversation. I didn't even take a picture with him. So 3 years later, not this year, but last year, I ran into Coach Babers at the golf tournament, and he said, "Hey Jim, how you doing?" And I guess that blew me away. So I think that's kind of the guy. Just that little story lets you know a little bit something about the kind of guy he is and why he's so successful.
Those stories are definitely true, and it's cool because the guy is a star, and we love him in Syracuse. I think the entirety of like the Syracuse area, and I'm sure natives of the Finger Lakes too, like they love that guy. And you know, thank goodness USC extended Clay Helton, their head coach, for another year, so we get Dino back. I know there were rumblings about that, but, you know, Wild Hack, you done good, John Wild Hack.
Yeah, which was another great get for Syracuse.
Yeah.
To get somebody of that caliber running the athletic department. So has it lived up to the hype? Did the Syracuse experience live up to the hype? Do you feel like they prepared you for the next step is better than any? Did you wish you went to Georgia?
I'll let you take that one first.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were kind of talking about this last night after post game, but I think honestly, experience-wise, there's so much you can do outside of the classroom. I know you're an AER. I did a little AER freshman year. I did a lot of Citrus TV, which is, you know, real studio on air. You're reading off script or you're doing it live, and that's an experience I don't know if they have at a lot of schools outside of the classroom.
Right.
So I would say I'm definitely grateful for, you know, what I learned in the extracurricular. In the classroom, I know senior year is really heavy. You got like what did you call it? The Mondays, it's like miserable Mondays or something, because you literally have class from 8 in the morning and I wouldn't get out till 7 p.m. and it's just, you know, straight broadcast show. But that's kind of how you know if you like it or not, because a lot of kids would drop it and go into PR or marketing. So I stuck with it. I think it definitely lives up to the hype. The
And you yourself had a ton of opportunities to anchor actual broadcasts and shows and do this kind of stuff that you probably only dreamed about 4 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. I anchored a show, News Live at 6, every single Tuesday, one semester, every single Thursday. And then I would have a sports cast every single Monday. So I was getting 3 reps every single week. It was crazy.
Well, and who was your co-anchor for News Live at 6?
Drew Carter. Drew Carter was my co-anchor. So that was really cool, too. We'll talk about that later, but he introduced me to the Doubledays. But it's crazy to see the talent that comes out of Newhouse, and I got to sit next to him every day and do it with him, and then to see him win big awards like he does now.
The Jim Nantz Award winner.
The Jim Nantz.
Last year he was broadcasted on FingerLakes1.com, and this year he's a Jim Nantz Award winner. Yeah. Which I was mowing the lawn yesterday, and I always listen to a podcast when I mow the lawn. And
did you listen to the Logan Anderson one?
I picked it. I opened it up, Say the Damn Score podcast, Drew Carter. And so I texted him. I said, I'm about to mow the lawn and listen to the Say the Damn Score podcast. And it was great. A lot of good stories. But the best part about that podcast, I don't know if you heard it yet, but he talked about when Jim Nantz called him on the phone and said, hey, Drew, this is Jim Nantz. I mean, can you imagine?
Oh my gosh. Goosebumps.
So, yeah, good for him. It's pretty cool for sure. So you got aware of this job through Drew's recommendation. Jack, how about you? How did you guys end up here in Auburn this summer?
Same exact thing. Drew's a really good friend of mine, and we did the WAER stuff together. And Drew, I knew that he was doing this, and I was out on Cape Cod doing the same exact thing for the Brewster Whitecaps of the Cape Cod Baseball League. So I was calling these games, and I was like, man, just inject this into my veins. Like, I love baseball. So, I grew up with it. It's the sport that I love.
Cubs or White Sox?
White Sox.
Okay.
I grew up a 10-minute walk from Wrigley in Lincoln Park. So I would go to these Cubs games all the time, but then I moved out to the suburb just west, Oak Park, and my options were go to a White Sox game for $6 and see Mark Burley or Chris Sale pitch, or go to a Cubs game for $50 and see Randy Wells pitch. So I'd much rather do the prior, so I guess that just kind of swayed my fandom when I was 6 or 7. But I fell in love with it, and I called Drew in late July, and I was like, dude, I can't get enough of this. How are you enjoying Auburn? And he said, it's really a lot of work, but it's really, really cool, and it's awesome, and it's great to be in pro ball. So luckily enough, he said, you should definitely come out and talk to Adam, and I talked to him, and I was ready to buy in and do some minor league baseball this summer.
Yeah, well, of course, most of the games, all the home games and a lot of the road games are live on Finger Lakes One Radio, and I've enjoyed listening to you and JD Raucci, who couldn't be here today, but he's also handling the broadcast booth. It's a train going by.
Yeah. We
wanted him to relocate the tracks when we moved our studio in here, but they weren't interested apparently. So you're embedded with one team now. I mean, in a way that's got to be just such a totally different experience. Even at Syracuse, there's so many different sports and so many other students that you're sharing responsibilities with. But you two and JD are literally the voice of, the Auburn Doubledays. And what's that experience been like to just be totally engrossed in a season with one team?
Yeah, I mean, it's my first time. Like he said, he had this experience before. I had never even covered baseball in depth. So a little bit about how I actually got this job. Drew did mention it to me, but I went to do a story on the Doubledays because I had heard it's kind of 3 guys that run the whole thing. And I didn't really know too much about, the behind works of minor league baseball. So I went up there to do a story on them, and I ended up staying there for 4 hours. And I was just so interested in the whole setup. And, he asked me, have you ever hosted a pregame, postgame show or on field? And I said, no, but I will. Because that was my dream, to do team reporting. Just the thought of getting to travel with the team, getting to know all the players and the coaches and, learn their stories. I don't do play-by-play, so I really like to get deep into the stories and their backgrounds and, connect them with the fans in that way. And, we've done that so far. I know it's kind of early in the season, especially seems for me since I don't go on the road. So when they are back, I'm trying to do as many cool segments as I can. I know we're going to do some cool ones, like take them out fishing, go golfing,
sure.
Go to one of their homestays and check that out. So you definitely get a lot of one-on-one time with the guys. We hang out with them in the dugout and we'll talk for 30 minutes, when it's raining during practice or something. So that's something definitely cool that I haven't got to experience before this. So
how about you, Jack?
It's really cool. And with Brewster, I kind of got a taste of it, but with Auburn this year, it's totally different because I'm around them all the time. And, I'm on the bus with them when I just went to State College this weekend. I'm staying in the same hotel as they are, and then I show up. We get there at 2:30 for a 7 o'clock game, so we're around for 4.5 hours before the game actually starts. So we're always seeing these guys. So it's fun because it's half of trying to really hone your skills and like the art of play-by-play broadcasting.
Right.
Like that's what I want to do.
Getting lots of reps in.
Right. So, you're trying to maximize reps, and everybody says the only way to get really good at it is to do it all the time. Yep. So, the good thing is I get to do it all the time, but I think that is just like heightened when you actually have an interest in these guys. So,
sure.
We were just talking to Jake Randa for a while yesterday. Like that's fun. And, you lose the mystique of these guys. So you could have, a 7-year-old, 10-year-old, little boy or girl that's out there, waiting for an autograph from these guys. And it's like they're pretty much Major League Baseball players. And, I've been around that for a little bit. And, like, if I see Chris Bryant, and I'm at Wrigley, and I see Chris Bryant, 20 feet away on the field, and I'm out near the, near the wall in foul territory, I'm just like, oh, my goodness gracious. That's Chris Bryant. Here, you lose that, and I think that's a good thing. I don't know about lose it, but shed it. And these guys become real human beings to you. And I think that's the coolest thing about actually being involved with the team. You're not just flying in and doing the game. You are legitimately, surrounding these guys. They know exactly who you are just as much as you know exactly who they are.
For this summer, you're as much a part of the community, their the discourse community of the Auburn Doubledays, I guess, is the players are, and the managers and the staff are.
Yeah,
and
JD's around all the time too. So JD and I are literally we'll be on the field during batting practice. Claudia will be down there too, and it's cool because they see our faces all the time. So if they don't know our names, that's kind of bad on them because we know all their names.
Sure, right.
Yeah.
And the stories of the individual players. It's single A short season baseball. It's as low as in the professional ranks as you can go. So a lot of the later round draft picks are in Auburn.
Yep.
Occasionally a Doubleday makes it to the big league. So they used to be the Astros affiliate, and Craig Biggio's played in Auburn. So there are examples, but the majority, the story of these guys' life. And a lot of them now have come from Latin America.
Yep.
And the first experience living anywhere but there, is in Auburn, New York. And so those types of stories are interesting. And for 2 months, we get to watch these guys try to come together as a team and win a New York Penn League title. And it's pretty good. But I enjoy listening to your call on the radio for sure.
Thank you.
You know what I like? I can't remember if it was this. No, it was a home game. It was maybe one of the first really nice nights, and it was 7th, 8th inning, and the sun was setting over the parking lot. You described it really well. I felt like I was there. I was, listening in. So I think, especially when you're not broadcasting a game that has major implications, like whether the Ddays won or lost that game, nobody's world was going to change. But you really. Brought me in as a listener to where I could just picture I could feel being at the ballpark, So I think that's a important talent. I think when you're calling minor league baseball, it has to be more than just about the action on the field. So what we got here? So starting July 11th, Thursday, July 11th, every Thursday at 1 o'clock. You two or JD, some combination
of us
will be here to host this podcast where we're going to kind of recap the week in Doubledays baseball, look ahead in Doubledays baseball. So, look for that. And let's talk about this Doubledays team, this iteration. slow start. Now they're hot.
Yeah, and they're super excited about it. I interviewed Albert Carrillo after the game last night, and I had talked with him, when we first got there, that first practice when they got off the bus, and a lot of them were super shy, but they did talk to us a little bit, and I said, how you feeling? And they're like, yeah, we're good, we're fine. And after last night, they kind of got the ball rolling with the wins, and he's like, we're doing great. He's like, I'm excited for tomorrow. I think they had the confidence in each other. And we were saying how it's kind of tough with the guys, losing some new guys coming in, like you said, with short season A, that's how it's going to be.
Right.
So they can't really get a team feel maybe as well as some of the other pro teams or higher up. But I think so far they're learning kind of how to work together, and with new coaching staff, obviously that's going to be tough too. But Rocket's a fun guy, so you can tell that they're definitely making it work.
And there are some really talented players. Who are some of the stars of this team?
There are a decent amount of stars, but there's constant changeover because, Jim, what's the end goal in minor league baseball?
To move up to the next level as fast as possible, right?
So it's not to win a championship and put a cohesive team effort together. If that happens, that's awesome. But the end goal for these guys is all individualistic. So it's really cool to see the talent shine. And, you're not going to see, you will see a sac bunt and, a sac fly, and that's great to get me over ground ball. But that's all, and it's not selfish. It's just they are trying to show what they can do as a baseball player so they can move up to Hagerstown. Or, in Rafael Bautista's case, that's a guy that played 26 games with the Washington Nationals in 2017 and 2018. And, he was down here on rehab. He just got sent back up. Not to the bigs, but he's, in Hagerstown for a little bit, and then he'll probably go to AAA, which is Fresno now. So Rafael Bautista was a really cool guy to see. In terms of other stars, there are a couple young guys. 18-year-old Jose Sanchez, he's really good. He's the 12th best prospect in the Nantz organization, so he's down here. Outfielder Ricardo Mendez, he's been hurt for a couple days, but he's 19 years old. The most fun guys are the really young guys. Neomar Gomez is a 20-year-old, and he's thrown really well. He's among the tops in the Penn League in ERA right now. So it's exciting stuff to see these guys when they're so young. Juan Soto was 17 years old when he was in Auburn, and 2 years later he's in the show, and now he's mashing. So it's cool to see developments like that, and you can see glimpses, but you really have no idea who the next Juan Soto is. He was only down here for 4 games, so you can see him and you can say, wow, he's really good, but you have no idea how good he's going to be until they actually get there. So you see a lot of guys that are showing a lot of signs of life. Like Neomar Gomez is a 20-year-old who's sitting 90 to 94 with a really good curveball. So say those things develop and say he puts a little bit of meat on his bones. He's got time. He's 20 years old.
Sure.
So, the sky is the limit for some of these guys, and that's the coolest thing to see.
And obviously, some of that youth just probably happy to be able to go to the ballpark every single day, and get paid for it, and not a lot, but
you're getting
like
paid to
it's
play
a stepping
baseball.
stone.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, we're running out of time here. I want to run through some quick-fire questions. We do this a lot on this podcast, okay? So these are for both of you.
Cool.
Just shout out your answers here. Favorite place to eat in Syracuse?
Francesca's, hands down.
Okay.
Italian food all the way.
Man, I think a la mode. Really good sandwiches at a la mode.
A la mode. So
random.
is Cosmos there anymore? Cosmos is there, isn't it?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Oh, geez, I guess
I've never.
not.
I feel like I would have. I'm a big foodie. I feel like I
Right on M
heard.
Street, Cosmos. Probably
No.
gone. Varsity, obviously. You like the
Varsity's
Varsity.
there,
What's your
yeah.
favorite piece of Varsity pizza?
I don't do the pizza a lot. I do
Really?
the wraps.
Okay.
The wraps at Varsity are really good.
I like the sausage pizza at Varsity
Ooh,
with the
yeah.
little round sausage balls on there.
I could do that.
But,
I stick to the salads, but I could definitely do sausage pizza.
geez, I can't believe Cosmos. Didn't even notice Cosmos wasn't there anymore. I know it was, 4 or 5 years ago at least. They had to still been there. Well, anyway, all right. Anyway, favorite place to eat in Auburn?
We both went and got a beer at Prison City. Which
Yeah.
is
Oh,
Prison
yeah,
is
isn't that place cool?
Yeah. I feel like I've literally been working every day since, so I haven't
Right.
been able to really check out Auburn. So if anyone has recommendations, let us know.
Right next door to Prison City, Osteria Salina is
Oh, okay.
Really good.
You look Italian food. That is
Yeah.
fantastic, and they
Oh,
have
sweet.
rooftop dining there
Ooh.
in the
Ooh,
summer.
That's cool. Yeah.
which is something different for Auburn, I guess. Yeah. You have a favorite? Prison City, you both agree?
I mean Prison City.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite sports movie?
Am I cliche to say Miracle? But it really is. I love that movie. I've seen it. I think that was like the only DVD we had in my house for a while. So I just watched it so many times, but I also loved it. So I would say Miracle.
So I'm not going to say a classic. I think Moneyball is my favorite because I function in that very nerdy way. So that was perfect for me.
Yeah, that was like a surprise hit. Didn't know what to expect about a baseball analytics movie.
Yeah,
you know. Best food item on the menu at Falcon Park.
I haven't tried them yet, but what are those pizza sticks they call them?
Pizza sticks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just pizza, but it's in a stick form.
It's on a stick
sounds
somehow.
Good. Sounds cool to me.
I don't know. I think the kettle corn's really good. So
okay.
I like the kettle corn.
Do you?
Yeah.
Huh.
All right. You're stranded on a desert island. You can only have one person with you.
My mom, because I call her or text her every 5 seconds for something.
You still need your mom to take care of you on the desert island?
She's fun, though.
Yeah, well,
I like go out with my mom, so my mom.
I hear you. I'd say my mom or my girlfriend.
Okay. All right. Android or iPhone? Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
Yeah.
Jeez.
You can't Snapchat on Android. It bothers me.
You can, but it just
but
looks
it
like
looks
blocks.
like you have a phone
yeah,
It's very pixeled and.
I Snapchat on Android.
Are you good?
He's an Android user.
Oh yeah. This has been fun, Jim.
Well, I know that.
Thanks for having us.
There's so much brand affinity with Apple that you don't even realize that what they're doing to you. For instance, Apple will say, "Here, you need to buy this new power cord. It costs $50." And you're like, "Okay, I'll take one." Android's like any power cord.
No, it's a massive gimmick, and they make their phones breakable, literally, so you can break them. So you have to buy a new one. Don't get me wrong, I hate iPhones. I was the last person to buy one. But it's just annoying almost when everyone has one with the iMessage and everything.
Yeah.
We're prisoners of the system.
We really are.
So I told myself I'd never bow down to the man, but here I am bowing down to the man. So
all right. My daughter's the same way, you know, she thinks she's so cool with her iPhone. And meanwhile I'm buying her the new cords and everything that goes along with
dongle.
it.
The one
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Rank the holidays from least favorite to favorite of these four. Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter.
I would say, well, it sounds bad if I say Easter's the worst.
No, it is. It's worse for me, too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I don't know. Whatever I could eat the most. So Thanksgiving is nice. Christmas is nice, but it's more of me just spending money on people now and less me getting gifts and money. Right. So that's probably down there, too. Halloween's always fun, but I feel like now that I'm out of college, it won't be eventful. I sound really pessimistic. Huh? I like food, so Thanksgiving. Top.
Thanksgiving is definitely my number one because it's it's food and it's a lot of I've got a huge family convergence that gets together. Mm-hmm. But I love Christmas music. Michael Bublé's Christmas album, John Legend. Incredible. That just came out.
Christmas music.
I love Christmas music.
When is it too early to start listening to Christmas music?
After Thanksgiving, I think is acceptable. Before Thanksgiving, no.
I agree.
I think also if the snow doesn't fall until December 2, I need snow on the ground to start.
Okay. All right. Favorite pro or college athlete of all time?
Oh God, I don't know.
Or if there's not a single one, just a couple of names that come to mind.
And I was actually just talking about this yesterday. My favorite two athletes of all time, very Chicago answers, but Derrick Rose and Mark Burley.
Okay.
So those are my two.
Does it make sense if I say Melo when he was in college?
No, you can say that.
Because
I love that guy.
I just liked his attitude for some reason. I would watch videos and stuff of him, and I talked to some people when they, were in school and saw him play. And I just wish that I had got to see him play when he was in college. So
yeah, pretty amazing. My favorite athlete of all time was Pearl Washington.
Fair.
That was an unbelievable time. The Big East was new. The Carrier Dome was new. And before the era of the Big East, gather around, kids, an old man is talking. Before the era of the Big East, there were all these Catholic schools in the Northeast, and there was this thing called the, what was it called? The MEAC. It was some or the EEAC. It was just some loose conference of about 30 different northeastern schools. And we couldn't get into the NCAA tournament as easily. Back then it was only 32 teams.
Right.
So they formed the Big East tournament. Dave Gavitt, who was at Providence, formed the Big East conference. And then ESPN all of a sudden came around, and all of a sudden ESPN was like, holy, let's put these games on TV. It's so easy. ESPN was obviously in Bristol, Connecticut.
Yep.
And then into this comes Patrick Ewing and John Thompson, the Georgetown Hoyas, and the Pearl, who was just the coolest guy to ever wear a uniform.
That was really cool. It was my freshman year, it was your sophomore year. It was that Georgetown game that they put the 31 at center court after he died, and that was a really cool ceremony to see. Yeah,
he was something. Every kid, I mean, when Pearl was there, I was in 5th or 6th grade, and everybody was just trying to emulate him, Yep. And then he hit the half-court shot against Boston College, so then every time we're at a basketball court, we're just shooting half-court shots.
Yeah. It's like Kobe with the piece of paper when you're shooting it in the trash can.
All right, well, that's all the quick-fire questions I have, but what's next for you guys after this summer?
I don't want to say it's set in stone yet, but I think I may be heading back to Boston to do some Red Sox and Bruins coverage. I met with some people over there about a week ago, so hopefully that's next on the plate, but I'm definitely still open to options. We'll see. Awesome.
And you are heading back to Syracuse, where you will now be elevated to that senior status at Newhouse, so you're going to get all the good gigs for the AER, and is that true?
Yeah, I'm the sports director at WAER.
He's like, I already have the top position.
No,
so you're following Noah Eagle.
I'm following Noah.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, there are some incredible people that I'm following suit. Noah and Drew were there, among others, and it's me, and then I've got really good friends. JD is at WAER too, and Jonathan Hoppy, who's a great friend of mine, and Tim Leonard, who's a great friend of mine. So we'll be all over the AER airwaves for a really good Syracuse football season and hopefully a really good Syracuse basketball season. So you can hear me on that, and then after that, I'm just trying to get paid to talk about sports. So
well, I'm sure you guys are both do fine. You can just tell you've got it, and then you put the Syracuse degree behind it. And, you guys are going to be great. So thanks for coming all this way from Auburn, and
thanks for having us.
Thanks.
And again, you'll be back every Thursday at 1 o'clock starting July 11th, not here for the 4th, but 1 week after, talking Doubledays baseball here in studio. So thanks again, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jim.
So you can reach out to the show by sending an email to contact@fingerlakes1.com for all our latest headlines and local content on the fingerlakes1.com local network. Visit our homepage, download our free Android or iPhone app, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and look for us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts online. Thanks for checking us out, and we'll see you next time.